Freezing. While the girl praises our hero for his clever ideas, inside our hero's mind, we discover he just fed her a lie about making cheese, because he is making something even more confidential which he does not want to disclose to her, because he doesn't fully trust her like he does with Anna and Nana. He wants to gather more intel about her before revealing his true secrets. He is apparently focused on developing guns, which are easier to make than steam engines. He fears that if anyone discovers his methods, it could seriously derail his ambitious plans. Also, the isons he ordered is basically known as saltpeter, a substance wealthy folks use to cool drinks in summer. And this name, isons, is just a fancy name given by the nobles. But what's crucial is that saltpeter is a key ingredient in making gunpowder, adding another layer of secrecy to his activities. The boy then changes the conversation by asking if witches train assassins as well, aside from searching for the Holy Mountain. The lady mentions that they're a group of oddballs who came together because of their dream of finding the Holy Mountain, and she only joined the Witch Cooperation Association about 2 years ago. Hearing this, the boy asks if she worked for someone else before joining the association, and wonders if there are people who accept witches. Putting down her plate, the lady laughs at the idea, calling it ridiculous. Sadly, she reveals that if her previous owner had known she had become a witch, he wouldn't have let her through the front door. Furthermore, she admits that if she hadn't been useful to him later on, he would have disposed of her quietly and quickly. The boy becomes more curious and demands further explanation about her past, but the lady decides to stay silent, promising a detailed account when the time is right. She also reassures him not to sweat it, mentioning she's been free for the last 5 years and has no plans to be anyone's pawn. The boy stays quiet, looking kinda down, and 5 days breeze by since that chat. Out in the courtyard, we see our hero has finally finished his first gun after tackling loads of production hiccups, and he is thrilled to keep this beauty all to himself. One big reason he's been working on steam engines was to churn out guns in bulk, so he had to nail a prototype first before ramping up production. But at this rate, he worries he'll only crank out 4 of these bad boys by the month of demons. Meanwhile, the knight's scratching his head over how these supposed muskets will help in fighting demons. The boy just tells him to round up the village's top hunters and form a killer squad to wield these weapons. But the prince finds himself completely creeped out when the knight suggests using patrol guards instead of hunters. Well, looking back at those soldiers, it seems our hero's reluctance to entrust these guns to these puny frail patrol guards is indeed justifiable. In the dark tunnels beneath Roland Castle, a few soldiers are marching through the tunnels. Suddenly, one of them leaps into the air and attacks another soldier. The scar-faced soldier tells this thin mustache to surrender or face the same fate as his friend Greymut. As the thin mustache soldier recalls his fallen friend, he becomes even more riled up, vowing never to let these hooligans set foot in the castle. With a surge of strength, he flings the scar-faced man back, causing his sword to fly off. Thin Mustache then readies his own sword and thrusts it into the left shoulder of Scarface, declaring that, "This is for Greymut." As he bleeds, Scarface scoffs, amazed that an ordinary guard patrol like the Thin Mustache soldier could hurt him. The Thin Mustache gets annoyed upon hearing this, and makes it abundantly clear that while Scarface was wasting time gambling and sleeping in pubs, he and his friends were training every day to protect their hometown. He swears he won't let Longsong and his partners disrupt their village's peace. As the Thin Mustache leaps to finish off his opponent, another cocky guy joins the fray and stabs him right in the chest. The poor guy writhes in pain from the dagger wound and collapses to the ground. Meanwhile, the other intruders stand over him confidently. Surprisingly, the Thin Mustache manages to pull the dagger out of his chest, despite the agony, and in a swift move, he throws it toward a nearby torch. The dagger shatters the torch, extinguishing the flame and plunging the area into darkness. Up in the castle's food storage, the Thin Mustache hides himself in one of the bins. He's certain these infiltrators are here to attack the food supplies. If they succeed in spoiling all the food, the border town will have no choice but to evacuate to Longsong Fortress. The soldier starts feeling disappointed in himself for not being able to protect a vital food bank while their prince is busting his butt for this town's progress. All of a sudden, his face goes terrified as the door behind him swings open, revealing those rowdy soldiers once again. One of the intruders grabs the soldier by the collar and throws him to the ground, telling him to quit running and surrender to Duke Ryan's demands. In case you forgot who Duke Ryan is, he's that white-haired guy who doesn't want our hero anywhere near his territory. The soldier stands his ground despite the threat, boldly stating that his prince will definitely foil Duke Ryan's plans. The intruders just scoff at the idea, laughing off the prince's abilities. Then, the leader tells his lackeys to take out the soldier and mess up the food while they're at it. Without hesitation, a lackey smacks the Thin Mustache guy hard on the head. Before losing his consciousness, the poor soldier wonders if this is how he will meet his end. But it seems fate has other plans, as Nightingale suddenly arrives on the scene. She questions the intruders if they're enjoying themselves in someone else's territory, but warns them their party is about to get shut down real quick. The intruders demand to know who she thinks she is. Nightingale coolly replies she's just a local from the border town. She questions why these clowns are here and suggests they look like sewer rats creeping out of the drains. Looks like those intruders do not realize how deep in shit they are, and their leader tells his crew to just take down this mysterious lady. But she just smiles, and in a flash, she swings her hand, and suddenly bodies are hitting the floor. Our soldier watches with bleary eyes as this mystery person swiftly takes out the intruders. Before he can even figure out who she is, he drifts off into unconsciousness. The next day rolls around, and we find the intruders' bodies scattered in the food storage. The knight inspecting the scene is scratching his head. He's trying to piece together who could have taken out these guys. He knows the thin mustache guy couldn't have done it with his injuries. The most likely scenario is some outsider jumped in without needing any backup. Their moves were so slick, the enemies didn't stand a chance. And there's no mess left behind. No blood or barrels knocked over. Not even a scratch in the place. Suddenly, he's thinking there must be someone with serious sword skills around. He starts feeling proud of his clan's history and their knack for knightly arts. The soldier gives his report. The autopsies are done, and they've identified the corpses. 8 were from our town's guard, and 1's still a mystery. The chief knight asks about the survivors. The soldier says Captain Brian's getting special healing, but Scarface got tossed in the dungeon and locked up. The knight tells the soldier to wake Scarface pronto for interrogation. Meanwhile, the prince feels annoyed that he hasn't made any real progress yet, and these guys are already trying to bring him down. But he's thankful Nightingale swooped in and saved the day. Nightingale reassures him that those intruders couldn't have gotten to him anyway, with Anna sleeping right under his floor. That's when the prince gets an idea. He proposes that Nightingale become his secret bodyguard, offering her a gig that pays better than Anna's. A sweet place to live with a garden, 2 days off each week, and paid vacations. But even with all those tempting perks, she politely turns down his offer, explaining she can't leave the association and her friends there. The prince suggests bringing everyone to town since there's plenty of space after the construction. He assures her there won't be any discrimination, and they can live freely. Once again, she declines, saying she'll think about it in the future, leaving the prince feeling a bit awkward after being turned down. Moving on, the boy asks if she safely sent Nana back home after healing the soldiers. She confirms she did, mentioning Nana was scared when she saw the injured soldiers. But that's not surprising. Given her experience is mostly patching up chickens, healing a person covered in wounds was understandably terrifying for her. Returning to the conversation, the boy asks her if she has figured out which of his siblings might be behind this infiltration. The lady points out that this time it wasn't one of his siblings behind the infiltration. The culprits bribed the patrol guards of the border town. Their plan was so sloppy they left 2 witnesses alive who didn't even have the guts to kill themselves before getting caught. She assures him they'll figure it out soon, since the chief knight is already grilling one of the infiltrators. She also mentions these guys were surprisingly wimpy and tearful compared to the 3rd princess's infiltrator. While everything is peaceful outside the castle, we see our hero strolls alongside the chief knight, heading to visit the thin mustache soldier. When the soldier spots the prince in the room, he's totally thrown and jumps in his bed. The prince starts off by praising Brian for his guts and the fight he put up. But Brian gets emotional, saying it was his buddy who really stepped up, the true hero who sacrificed his life. But the prince reassures the soldier, saying his friend's funeral will give him the recognition he deserves for his bravery. As for Scarface, he's getting the full punishment. He's set to hang in 3 days, and the prince hopes Brian will be well enough to see it happen. Thin Mustache then mentions Scarface supposedly has noble blood, hinting it might stir up trouble with Longsong Fortress. The prince brushes it off, explaining Scarface might have noble lineage from the Elk family, but he's got no titles or land. Besides, he tried to burn down all of Bordertown's food, causing a huge mess that can't just be ignored. With reassurances that someone else will handle patrols, the prince tells Thin Mustache to rest up. In the coming month of demons, he promises to honor him as a brave knight of the prince. Next, we're up on the city wall where the new recruits are getting trained hard by Hunter Iron Axe. Iron Axe suddenly grabs everyone's attention, and they snap to attention because the prince is here for an inspection. But it seems our prince has no clue what he's supposed to say during this inspection. He awkwardly starts walking up to a random soldier and decides to ask about their daily routine. With a friendly smile, he asks the soldier how he feels about the training and if he's been eating well lately. The soldier looks really nervous in front of the prince, while our prince seems to be copying something he saw on TV once. Out of nowhere, the soldier drops down to his knees, leaving the prince totally puzzled and kinda weirded out, wondering if he's missed something. Meanwhile, the soldier's got tears in his eyes. Not just him, but everyone's really moved that the prince came to check on them personally. The boy reaches out and tells the soldier to get back on his feet. It looks like all those good meals our hero fed them have really perked up the soldiers. Then the prince reminds everyone they can speak up if they have suggestions or complaints, and promises to make sure everyone gets enough to eat. Out of the blue, that shy kid from earlier pipes up. He says there aren't enough soldiers in their civilian army, and with the way they're training, he's worried they won't stand a chance against the demons when they attack. Whispers and murmurs start buzzing around, everyone thinking the same thing, and wonders if the prince plans to hire mercenaries to fight off demons. But our hero cuts them off with a hand gesture, and with a big grin, he asks the soldier for his name. The soldier Vanner replies nervously. Our hero gives Vanner props for his sharp eye, and agrees that relying solely on a civilian army to defend the entire wall doesn't not make any sense. However, he points out that demons are just mutated animals and beasts, not as smart as humans, and Iron Axe has proven this by taking on those monsters directly. Iron Axe nods in agreement, saying those creatures are exactly as the prince described, but he admits hybrids are a whole different ballgame, posing a tougher challenge altogether. The prince comes up with this idea to strategically place fences, ditches, and hills to guide the dumb beasts into traps they set up. He figures it'll work since these creatures are pretty simple-minded. Iron Axe still seems worried about getting too close to these beasts. He says spears and bows won't cut it against them if push comes to shove. Our hero smirks and agrees, knowing traditional weapons won't do the trick. That's why he's cooked up these new weapons that are more dependable than a whole squad of armored knights. The crowd's buzzing to see these new toys. We're out on the testing grounds, and suddenly there's this massive explosion that rattles the whole place. Our hero's over the moon that his gunpowder invention worked like a charm, but the others are just freaking out. Iron Axe even mutters something about this explosion being God's wrath. The explosion blows a big hole in the ground and even takes out the test rabbits in the process. The prince tells everyone to get up close and examine everything to gather test data. Our hero is pumped that they can create such a powerful weapon just by mixing a bunch of elements in the right ratio. With everything wiped out by the blast, the hunter suggests they wouldn't have to worry about monsters if they had this bad boy doing its job. But the prince reminds them they won't have enough gunpowder before the month of demons. Still, he's excited they can work around it, relying mainly on guns and crossbows, while keeping the gunpowder as their trump cards. In the next scene, Nightingale paints how the world looks to her, just black and white, with no clear boundaries. She navigates through paths that defy normal limits by shifting her perspective. Up, down, left, and right aren't fixed. They collide, break away, or overlap. Moving along these ever-shifting lines gives her a bird's-eye view, letting her swing through anything. Other than the black and white, she can also see some other colors as well. For example, witches are the essence of magic, and she can sense the magic flowing and fading within their bodies. In this world, only witches hold something truly amazing, and Anna's magic stands out with its vibrant, rich colors. Suddenly, Anna calls her out, and Nightingale appears back in the real world. When Anna asks what Nightingale was doing here, Nightingale smoothly changes the subject, mentioning she brought some fish cakes. Anna's face lights up with delight at the sight of these treats, but Nightingale hesitates, saying she needs to wash her hands first. Instead of water, Anna just uses her fiery powers to cleanse her hands, which impresses the women big time. That is when it hits Nightingale that Anna is the only witch in their group with such incredible powers. This realization fills her with both dread and sadness, knowing that such strong abilities come with risks. With the month of demons approaching, she worries about Anna enduring unimaginable pain during her puberty. Nightingale gently suggests that Anna should join the association, where other witches can support her. She assures Anna that everyone would be thrilled to have someone as powerful as her among them. But then Nightingale's tone turns serious as she admits to Anna that she might not make it through this winter. Anna then asks Nightingale where she lived before joining the association. Nightingale replies that she used to live in a big city to the east, not too far from the capital. Anna then follows up by asking if Nightingale was happy back then. Nightingale's mind immediately flashes back to her past, recalling herself feeling miserable, locked up with shackles and a power-suppressing locket. Instead of answering directly, Nightingale turns the question around and asks Anna why she wants to know. Anna opens up, sharing that she had a tough life in the slums of Border Town. Her father sold her to the church for 25 golden coins, and it was our hero who freed her from those chains. Now Anna feels genuinely happy to be where she is. Nightingale gently reminds Anna that leaving the castle isn't an option due to how witches are hated by others, but Anna remains optimistic, trusting the prince to change things for them. Suddenly, their chat gets cut off when Nana storms in, slamming the doors before her. She's in tears and rushes to hug Anna, blurting out that things are about to hit the fan for her. Meanwhile, our hero is deep in slumber, dreaming of heroic exploits, and that is when Nightingale rudely wakes him up. She's absolutely livid, informing the sleepyhead that Nana's father is on his way and suspects she's a witch. Shocked to hear Nana's secret is out, the prince rushes into action, hoping he now has a shot to keep Nana in the castle. He wonders how the nobleman will react when he finds out his daughter is a witch, Will he plead with the prince to let her stay and keep her secret? When our hero finally steps outside, reality is far from what he was imagining. Nana's dad is fuming, demanding the immediate return of his daughter. After they settle into their seats, Nana's restless father calls her over to him. The little girl gets scared and asks if he's planning to sell her to the church. The man gets all chummy, saying the church would never take someone as clueless as her, so she better return back to her father. But our hero steps in, reminding him that his daughter is a witch. The man flat out refuses to believe it, and even when Nana herself confirms that she is a witch, the father gets really mad and suggests maybe Teacher Carl is just labeling another girl as a witch. That's when our hero gives Anna a nod, signaling her to show off her fiery magic powers. She does it right away, leaving the old man stunned to see witchcraft in action. Our hero tells him to calm down and assures him they can explain everything. Eventually, the father starts to understand that his daughter is just here to practice her witch powers after all. But our hero feels creeped out by the implication that her father was thinking of him as a pedophile for calling little girls into the castle. The boy then gets down to business, pointing out that Nana has healing abilities that could be invaluable in Border Town during the months of demons, to aid in healing the injured. However, the dawning father, Mr. Pine, politely declines, concerned for his daughter's safety if she stays here. Our hero reveals that opportunities often come with dangers, mentioning that from what he's heard, Nana's grandfather and Mr. Pine's father were courageous knights. The Pine family's noble lineage comes from their grandfather's heroic deeds. Mr. Pine agrees, and proudly recalls how his father once faced down an incredibly powerful demon and actually defeated it. He even has the demon's massive horn hanging over his fireplace to prove it. But then our hero points out how the Pine family is not as prestigious as it was before. Pine family is just a working-class citizens now, to which the father sadly admits. He then notices Pine's rough, calloused hands, proof that Mr. Pine hasn't given up on his warrior spirit and still trains daily to sharpen his sword skills. So, he cleverly suggests that Pine join in defending the border, promising to grant him enough land to become a true noble. Despite this tempting offer, Pine isn't willing to take the risk and prefers to send Nana to Longsong Fortress rather than see her in harm's way. Our hero reminds him that Longsong Fortress isn't as safe as Border Town. The church has eyes and ears everywhere there. If the truth about Nana gets out, not even he could protect her. He promises to prepare a small boat for a quick retreat to Longsong in case of trouble, ensuring Nana and Anna's safety. Finally, the old man puts his faith in the prince, nodding respectfully and pledging his loyalty to fight for our hero's cause. Everyone breathes a sigh of relief and smiles, but Anna pouts, showing her anger toward our hero for even considering sending her away. She makes it crystal clear that she's not going anywhere. The next day, the old constable shows up looking really worried that they've blown all their money on weapons and army training. He's fretting that if things keep going like this for a few more months, everyone's going to starve for sure. The boy facepalms himself and gives him permission to use his savings for their budget. The old man agrees but grumbles it won't solve their long-term problems. Our hero shrugs and says if the defenses fail, they'll evacuate the town as soon as possible, then sends the old man off to do as he's told. Once the constable's gone, the boy feels pretty crushed after draining every last penny he'd saved up, and if the border defenses still fail, he's screwed. Then, his mood perks up when Nightingale shows up again. The woman immediately points out that he had lied to the old man about leaving the town. The prince immediately admits his lie, because he does not want to spread distress among the already terrified townspeople. Nightingale advises him to spend his time with Anna, instead of stressing over politics. She shares her fear that Anna might not be around much longer, but the boy insists she will survive, because she has promised to beat those demons at all costs. Nightingale wonders how he can trust a witch cursed by demons. The boy just shrugs and says he believes in her, and further points out that he also trusts Nightingale as well. The woman just stares at our hero's poker face and realizes he's not lying. He casually points out that he doesn't lie without a good reason. Suddenly, they hear a commotion outside. Nightingale glances out the window and gets visibly anxious, noting that it's snowing. Winter has arrived. The boy decides to check on Hunter Ironaxe and his progress. At the shooting range, Ironaxe is using the guns and hitting bullseye after bullseye. The prince shows up and asks about the training. Ironaxe lights up like a kid, enthusiastically mentioning that he's nailed all the basics he was taught. The prince isn't surprised, because being a warrior through and through, Ironaxe has been able to master any weapon given to him. The man praises this iron pipe of the gods for its insane power. He grits his teeth, saying if he had this pipe when he fought that hybrid monster, it wouldn't have stood a chance. Ironaxe drops to his knees, overwhelmed that the prince entrusted such devastating power to a humble hunter like him, and promises not to let his prince down. The prince then checks in with his chief knight, Carter, asking how things are going. The knight looks a bit serious and mentions they could really use more than just the 2 guns they have. Our hero gets it and assures him that 2 more guns are already in the works and should be ready soon. He admits they rushed the gunpowder development because the months of demons are finally here. I'm starting to feel like this comic is turning into a manhwa version of Game of Thrones. Anyway, once he climbs up the city wall, the soldiers greet the prince right away. Seeing them bow their heads makes our hero feel sheepish, wishing he had taught them some proper military etiquette. The hunter points out that there aren't many demons after the first snow, but our hero tells him to stay cautious regardless. Suddenly they catch a sight of something, and there they see a demon in a distance. The soldiers start to panic, and one of them even asks if they should sound the alarm. Our hero tells the soldier to decide for himself, since he has more experience after their training. Finally, the soldier decides not to sound the alarm and puts his bow down. Our hero is relieved to see that his training of these soldiers is paying off, because dealing with the presence of the demon should be handled with caution instead of acting on impulses. The beast starts walking toward the wall, picking up momentum. The prince squints his eyes and gazes closely, wondering if it's a mutated fox. The hunter agrees, pointing out that the animal has recently been possessed, so it's not that threatening. The wolf gears up to jump over the wall, and the hunter quickly gets ready for the attack. Chief Knight Carter steps forward, shielding the prince. Just as the beast lunges at them, the hunter lets loose an arrow that flies through the air and instantly brings down the beast. The prince peers down to see the creature lying dead on the ground. The knight lets out a sigh of relief that they avoided a close encounter. Meanwhile, our hero notices the strange black blood and can't help but wonder why it's like that. He's also puzzled about why witches can snap out of demonic influence, but these animals can't. Curiously, the boy asks if someone bitten by a demon could turn into a mindless ghoul. The hunter immediately dismisses the idea, saying there's no such thing as ghouls. Our hero breathes a sigh of relief, glad he won't have to deal with a zombie apocalypse. He then asks if the meat is edible. The knight started to freak out upon hearing this, and questions why the prince would consider eating cursed meat. The hunter agreed, recalling how he once fed a chunk of demon flesh to hunting dogs, which led to their deaths immediately. The boy sighs in disappointment, thinking it's a total waste of good meat. Both the knight and hunter are shocked that the prince was actually considering eating it, but our hero immediately reminds them how scarce food has gotten, and it would have been great if they were able to chow down on the meat they were about to hunt down. Suddenly, a soldier barges in, blurting out that someone's hurt. Apparently, it's not one of the regular guards, but a worker from the northern mines. Next thing you know, Nana's sitting alone when Nightingale suddenly pops up, asking if she's bored. The little girl jumps a mile after getting scared out of her wits, and the woman quickly apologizes for scaring her like that. Nightingale then mentions that Anna's still busy working, and might be back soon. Nana asks if Anna's still tackling those dirty mounds, and Nightingale nods in agreement. Nightingale then sits down on the chair and grabs Anna's tea out of habit without her permission. It seems Nana is feeling a bit down because of her new job. The prince has assigned her to heal the wounded guards. It's not that she's unwilling to do the job, but seeing the injured soldiers traumatizes her. She wants to overcome her fear to keep using her abilities effectively, and wishes she were as courageous as Anna. Suddenly, Nightingale spots someone coming, and a soldier bursts in with urgency, telling Nana to come downstairs pronto, because there's a badly hurt patient who needs her help. Down in the infirmary, the injured man screams in agony, begging his prince to relieve his excruciating pain. Seeing the soldier there, desperate for his life, makes our hero anxious as he wonders if this man's burns are from the steam engine malfunction in the northern mines. Nana arrives at the scene, trembling in fear as she approaches the burned miner. Her father gives her a reassuring pat on the head. Nana gulps down her fears, calming herself immediately, and declares that she's ready to proceed. Once the curtains are drawn around her, she takes a deep breath, summons her magical ability, and begins healing the man. Shortly after, the injured man is completely healed, looking as fresh as a freshly picked cucumber. Meanwhile, the father is really amazed and proud of her little girl after witnessing her healing abilities for the first time, and calls it nothing short of a miracle. Knight Brian happily mentions it's all thanks to Nana that he's also back from the brink of death. The prince freaks out upon hearing this and quickly tells Brian to keep it down. He reminds him that when Nana healed him, she snuck out without her dad knowing, and he doesn't want to deal with her angry father. Now that the injured man is awake and fully healed, he can't believe he's actually alive. Prince Roland assures him it's real, and proudly reveals that Nana, who is one of the witches, saved his life. Later that night, when our hero gets back to his room, Nightingale greets him and asks why he had to spill Nana's secret so early. And that's when we flash back to the moment when the miner is shocked after learning about Nana's true identity. He starts freaking out and reminds everyone about witches being devils. But her dad got annoyed real quick and set him straight that his daughter wasn't involved with any devils, and she was the one who saved his life. Out of nowhere, the miner sits up and drops to his knees in front of the little girl, apologizing big time for his earlier words and thanking her deeply for saving his life. Back in the present moment, our hero reflects that it was the perfect time to reveal her as a witch, considering how well it all played out. Plus, if they're going to use her powers against demons in the coming months, hiding her identity as a witch wouldn't have been an option anyway. He also stresses that since the church folks have already left for Longsong Fortress, there is no one to bully his girls. The lady asks him if he had already planned everything from the start. The boy immediately agrees, saying the snow has blocked the roads to the fortress and the seaports are under his control. The church has no means of learning what is going on in Border Town, let alone taking direct action against witches. This gives him a sweet 3 months to change public opinion about witches being the reincarnation of evil. He points out how Nana is now seen as an angel instead of a villain in the eyes of the soldiers she has recently healed. They can continue using her power to heal everyone, which will help boost everyone's morale. Once they remove prejudice from the civilians' minds, everyone will be happy. Nightingale has no clue what our hero is trying to achieve by all this, so she asks him why he is doing so much for the witches. Our hero reminds her once again that his border town does not discriminate by origin, and someone as loathed as witches should live on this land like every other person. The woman's eyes widen hearing our hero's big plans, and it's clear she's got something important to get off her chest. She admits she wasn't straight with our hero before. The prince is taken aback by this revelation, and the woman starts explaining how her sisters in the association have been moving around for ages, losing hope along the way. All they want now is a safe place to be happy, even if it's just a castle. At first the boy is confused by her confession, but then he's stunned to realize she's actually open to bringing all the witches to the border town. But she quickly brings him back down to earth, warning him that if witches come to the castle, he'll be facing off with the church. The boy reassures her, saying the church's main headquarters is far away. Even if they find out about witches leaving the border town, they won't march all the way to Grey Castle just for him. He's already plotting to gather enough influence to rival the church and create a world where witches can live alongside regular folks. He dreams of expanding that world to Grey Castle, or maybe even the whole kingdom. The next scene takes us to the capital of Grey Castle. There, soldiers on their horses are marching down the road when their captain suddenly yells for everyone to stop. This person looks really pumped as they finally return to the castle. The folks inside the castle light up the sky with fireworks, welcoming the man about to enter the city once again, Gerald Wimbledon, the first prince of Grey Castle. It's hilarious to see that these suckers have explosive material to make fireworks, even though it's been only a few chapters since our hero invented gunpowder in this primitive society. Anyway, the gates come down and Prince Gerald heads into the city with his crew. Once inside, he gets straight to the point and tells everyone he's here to claim what's rightfully his from his father. 3 shady characters show up, bowing before their prince and reporting that they've already done what they were tasked with. Prince Gerald then asks if they've managed to switch out the royal guards of the king as planned. The lackey admits there's been a snag in the plan due to some issues, and they've only been able to replace the guards in the king's chamber. The man waves off the concern, saying as long as he and his crew can get into the castle, they're good. The lackey quickly reassures him that there won't be anyone stopping their entry. The old man then mentions that Prince Gerald's fate star, the Heaven Star, is leaving the equinox and will be gone from this hemisphere in about 4 months. He asks if Gerald remembers what that star activity symbolizes. Gerald's mind drifts back to childhood memories of playing with his younger siblings. Then, he snaps back to reality